everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Happy Thursday to those of you guys who are cruising through your week. I wanted to take some time to talk to you guys a little bit about this conjunction that's going to be taking place pretty much over the next 6 months between the North Node in Aries and Chiron. This is a video that's probably going to have some legs. It'll run for a little bit. I want to talk about the importance pretty much over the next 6 to 8 months of self-healing and working with the Chiron North Node conjunction in Aries. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer. I work with the Sabian symbols as well as tarot to better understand what's going on in the cosmos. If you like my content and you want to see more of it, please click the subscription button below and subscribe so you're alerted as to when we have videos coming out on the channel. Also, to those of you guys who are returning to watch my content, if you are members and if you support my work and you donate, thank you guys so much for making it possible for me to keep doing what I'm doing here on YouTube. The last 2 years has been like really awesome with a lot of growth in the channel. We're gonna hit 25K subscribers pretty soon, which is exciting. Yeah, it's just cool to see so much interaction and so much growth and all of the support and positive feedback from you guys. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into this. I have like a whole presentation for you guys today. I'm gonna preface this by saying this conjunction is not going to happen until February of 2024, okay? But because we have the North Node in Aries now, also because we are seeing that there are transits taking place in the sign of Leo, there will be a number of aspects that are going to be made to both Chiron as well as the North Node. Now the North Node is in Aries within this 10-degree range of a conjunction. So the North Node sitting at 28 degrees currently, and that's in the sign of Aries. And also Chiron is in Aries and has been for some time, sitting at 19 degrees retrograde. So it's coming into that 10-degree orb. Personally, I like to work with about 2 degrees, but I know that we can start feeling the effects of this. So I wanted to kind of put this video out just to give you guys some food for thought on this particular transit. Now this Leo season, we're experiencing trines to Chiron, okay? So we're gonna be seeing Venus throughout her retrograde trine Chiron several times. We're also going to be seeing the sun coming through the sign of Leo here pretty soon, trining Chiron. And this is going to be activating themes of self-wounds, and Venus coming in is going to be giving us an opportunity throughout her retrograde to ask us to go a little bit deeper and tend to some of those wounds. Now, specifically, the reason why I wanted to put this out now also is because from August 12th through the 16th, I've kind of pinpointed this as a window where there's a powerful opportunity for healing, okay? And I'm going to show you guys why when I get into the chart, but just make a note, the August 12th through the 16th of 2023. Now, Chiron has been in Aries since the spring of 2018 and will continue to remain in this particular sign until the spring of 2027. So we're going to have some time with Chiron in this particular sign. I want to start off by giving you guys some information and some history on the word health, because that's going to be a huge topic as we're talking about Chiron and Aries for everybody on a personal and an individual level. The actual, the root connection to the word health. So the Old English help, wholeness, as being whole, sound, or well, was obviously, has its roots also in Germanic, helatheo, which also means whole, uninjured, or good omen. And hail is also one of the root words, Old Norse heal or healthy, and then Old English would be helg. But essentially all of these connections talk about healing, not just health, but healing, and something being complete or something being holy, sacred. So we're going to talk about that a lot when we talk about Chiron, the sacred rites of healing in the sign of Aries, healing oneself. And we know that when conjunctions take place with the North Node, we are all collectively being kind of ushered in that direction. So for the better part of the next 6 to 8 months, there's going to be this push towards focusing on self-healing, addressing our wounds, taking action revolving around our own issues with our Chiron wounds. Now, Chiron in a nutshell, is essentially a centaur. Chiron is referred to as the wounded healer. It's an asteroid, and its significance lies in its unique symbolism related to personal growth, healing, and transformation. Now, Chiron was originally discovered in 1977, and it's interesting because Chiron doesn't quite fit into traditional planetary categories, so it's often classified as a centaur or an object, which is a class of celestial bodies that are in orbit between the planets and the asteroids. So it kind of falls in between. It's kind of like in no man's land. And Chiron's symbolism and representation have a wide variety of different key aspects. Obviously, most of you guys know this as the wounded healer. Everybody has the Chiron placement in their chart. So if you happen to have your natal Chiron in Aries, then you're probably somewhere in your, early 50s. Your Chiron return happens around 51 to about 53. But the wounded healer, right? Chiron is named after the centaur from Greek mythology who is a skilled healer and mentor. However, Chiron himself was unable to heal his own wound, which led to his eventual transformation. Now, in astrology, Chiron represents the area of our lives where we carry emotional wounds and insecurities and traumas. And these wounds might be difficult to heal, but they're also there to offer us the potential of being able to recognize, deep self-awareness, opportunities for growth, and the ability to help others based on our own experiences. So a very strong Chiron signature can be somebody who identifies as being wounded, but can also see the opportunities through that wounding to be able to teach other people. I'm a huge fan of Chiron. I have Chiron conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. It's in my 10th house. So obviously I'm kind of in like a healing profession. I feel like so many of the aspects in Chiron in my own chart really kind of plays into the experiences that I've had and how I'm learning through those experiences and teaching other people. So the house placement of your Chiron shows you where you actually go through that healing transformation. And then the sign is going to show you kind of the flavor or the lens in which that energy is expressed. Now, what I also like about Chiron is that it's known for unconventional wisdom, okay? Chiron's placement and in your birth chart can indicate where you possess some kind of unique wisdom from your own personal struggles and challenges, and it points to an area where you're able to offer guidance and empathy or insights to other people who are going through similar experiences. So I anticipate with, this North Node Aries conjunction, a lot of people being more so willing to share their personal healing stories, where they have felt kind of like an outsider or where they have gone through some personal struggles. And I definitely think it's going to ramp up themes revolving around personal coaches and like health coaching, wellness coaching, and encouraging other people to want to not just help other people, but also help themselves. This is also going to bring up themes revolving around holistic healing because Chiron represents holistic healing, not just at a physical level, but emotional, mental, and spiritual levels as well. So Chiron encourages us to look beyond the surface and address the underlying issues and the actual wounds and how it might be connected to other things in our life. So the healing process might involve integrating both conventional and alternative methods of healing. And Chiron is also known as like the bridge between worlds. It's associated with bridging the gaps and connecting different aspects of our lives that seem alienated or unrelated. So it can also represent integration of conflicting parts of ourselves and helping find harmony between these different areas and the roles that we may play. So I like that because we might find that even though we might have a wide variety of differences, there will be some wounds collectively that we all share that can actually be uniting. And obviously transformation and growth is a huge theme because of Chiron's presence in any particular, house or sign. It's really going to be highlighting a specific area of your life where you're undergoing some kind of transformative journey. And so while the wounds are represented by Chiron will always be a part of you, embracing these lessons and healing potential can lead to personal growth and development. So, phases, right? Phases of transformation and being able to go through certain like rites of passages or certain experiences that are really important. And even though they may be painful, they help us kind of grow. Mentorship and teaching is a huge theme. So Chiron's mythological role as a mentor and a teacher is reflected in its astrological symbolism. And people with Chiron placements that are very strong signatures might find themselves drawn to teaching, mentoring, healing, or guiding other people through challenges. And this guidance often arises from personal experience and their ability to relate to other people's pain. Spiritual quests are a huge theme also with this particular centaur. So Chiron's presence can indicate a spiritual journey, urging individuals to explore the deeper meaning of life in suffering and healing, and encourages the search for spiritual insight and connection. Strong connections to like shamanic traditions, Native American traditions, anything involving being able to kind of rise above or be able to connect with higher, versions of ourselves and like receive channeled messages that can be relayed to other people. And collective healing, because Chiron's influence can also extend to collective wounds and, healing processes, reflecting a broader issue within society that needs to be addressed and needs to be transformed. Now, that's especially going to be true considering the North Node will be meeting with Chiron in February of 2024. And that, I do believe, is going to be bringing a wave of necessary conversations revolving around healing and health and wellness and our personal responsibilities for kind of taking charge of some of these things. Now, the last time that we had the North Node in conjunction with Chiron was actually in October of 2008. This took place in Aquarius, and ironically, it was also at 16 degrees. Now, 16 degrees in general is a degree that does deal with emotions, our roots, our homes. It can deal with the housing market. It can also deal with connections to maternal energies, to our parents, or issues that are actually taking place in regards to living issues, living crisis, whether or not we have the capabilities to afford shelter and homes, to feed and nurture ourselves, to take care of our families or our children. So that's a Cancerian degree if you follow degree astrology. Now, as many of us know, 2008 was a pretty critical time, at least here in the United States. It was known as the Great Recession, which led to increase in obesity, diabetes, mental health issues. The 2008 Great Recession resulted in, changes to individuals' health behavior, significant increase in the likelihood of, some of these health-related issues, which also had connections to a whole, wave of mental health problems. Now, when we think of Aquarius, right, it does have connections to, nervous disorders, swelling of the legs, hypersensitivity, an overstimulated nervous system. It's pretty safe to say there was a lot of stress going on at that time, especially with the breakdown of what was going on with the 2008 financial issues and a lot of people kind of facing uncertainty when it comes to the cost of living and jobs. I mean, everybody was just really kind of stunned with some of the economic issues that were going on at that time. Now, in particular, 14 degrees of Aquarius has connections to, arthritis and issues with, joint pain and swelling. I wonder if this is because of things that were going on environmentally. I wonder if this was because of stress and, the joints kind of acting up and people starting to have issues. I also wonder if this is because people were not as active, and we were kind of finding that, it's been 2008, so going on almost, 15 years since people were really starting to kind of get into the internet and focusing, being on more on their phones and computers. So people have been less active. They're not getting out and about and doing as much. We're seeing more jobs that are kind of based off of, being in front of a computer screen rather than, an active lifestyle. So this particular conjunction that's going to be taking place is going to be taking place at 16 degrees of Aries. It's going to be felt the strongest for anybody who's got personal placements. So Aries, sun, moon, rising. If you have angles on these degrees, if you have personal planets or maybe even a North Node within these degrees, this is going to be more impactful for you. If you guys stay tuned to the end, I'm going to take you guys through the 12 houses and I'll talk about what it might mean for you and what to kind of be mindful of. Now, themes in regards to Chiron and Aries is a little bit different because it's going to have much more of like an assertive and an energetic quality. Because Chiron is about, dealing with these wounds and these insecurities, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in Aries. Obviously, it's going to be healing wounds revolving around Aries topics. So themes in regards to like identity and self-worth, I think are going to be a major, topic of discussion. Chiron and Aries can bring up issues surrounding self-identity and self-worth, and individuals with this placement might struggle with feeling a sense of identity issues and wounds relating to self-esteem. And really, it's going to be about learning to be more assertive and finding your own path and discovering your worth and being able to kind of stand up for that. With that is also going to come themes revolving around independence, because Aries is known for their independent and self-reliant nature. So, Chiron in this sign can manifest as challenges or wounds relating to asserting your own identity in the world. And we might, on an individual level, be faced with situations where our independence is undermined or restricted, leading to a need to heal and learn how to confidently stand on our own 2 feet. Obviously, this is going to be really heightened. We're going to be wanting to watch what's going on with like Mars transits. I'll show you guys the chart in a second, but when this conjunction takes place, we're also going to be noticing that Mars, Pluto, and Venus are all going to be kind of within a 5-degree range in the sign of Aquarius. So my interpretation of that is that collectively there is a need to actually work together, to team up, to see the benefit and the fact that we can actually overcome some of these challenges by working together towards a common goal, rather than feeling like we need to fight and have conflicts and have a further divide of belief systems and be kind of turning our backs on one another, because that can actually lead to more alienation, especially with Chiron in the sign of Aries. Now, I think it's going to be bringing up themes revolving around taking initiative and courage. Aries is a sign that's associated with taking, the initiative and being courageous. However, with Chiron and Aries, there might be wounds revolving around taking risks and asserting yourself. People with this placement might have experienced setbacks and fears related to stepping forward boldly and healing the process, which involves cultivating confidence and bravery. So I think for a lot of us, it's going to be, are we willing to address the wounding? Are we ready to actually be, courageous enough to want to step into that and acknowledge some of these issues and do the work? I think it's going to be about reevaluating what does it mean to be, bold and courageous and to stand up for yourself. With the South Node in Libra, a lot of people are having to undo or release or cut ties with relationships that are superficial, or wanting to people please, or wanting to be indecisive and like passing things off to other people. So I think a lot of people might struggle with realizing that they have to kind of forge their own way and make decisions for themselves, even if those decisions are difficult. We have to choose the path that is going to be best for our own, particular life, for our own direction. And it might require some of us to actually spend time on our own and getting a little bit more comfortable. Now, definitely with Aries, we're going to see themes of anger and assertion. Aries energy can be assertive and at times confrontational, right? You want to think of like the ram that just keeps like running into things, right? So Chiron in Aries brings up wounds relating to anger, assertiveness, and conflict resolution. And it might be bringing up themes revolving around, healing past experiences where assertiveness was met with negativity, leading to challenges in expressing themselves constructively. I do believe that anybody who has any significant Aries or Libra placements, you see where this can kind of come up in your life. Definitely, I think we're going to be looking at what does it mean to, channel our anger in positive ways. And, are we being assertive and, standing up for ourselves? And are people saying we're being mean or we're being selfish? I mean, we're constantly going to be in the state of questioning, like, are we in alignment with the right side of this Aries energy? And, are people not responding well to new boundaries and the fact that you might be kind of putting yourself first? Obviously, physicality and vitality is a huge theme here as well, because Aries is associated with the physical body. So Chiron in Aries is going to involve wounds relating to physical health, energy levels, and our self-image. And the healing journey might involve finding ways to restore and maintain physical well-being and embracing a positive body image. Now, leadership and individuality is a theme as well, because Aries is a natural leader and they focus on being an individualist. Chiron in Aries is going to bring up wounds relating to leadership roles, feeling undermined in positions of authority, or struggling to express their unique individuality. Healing involves embracing leadership qualities and recognizing their unique contributions. So I do feel like we're going to see across the board where individuals are actually suffering and they have less freedom and they have less security, or even, health, like less stable health as a result of issues in leadership. So that North Node conjunction is going to be interesting, especially thinking about like Saturn, which rules, governments and leaders and people in high, positions of power who are supposed to be kind of guiding the masses. Saturn will be sitting actually behind, because Saturn and Neptune are going to be in Pisces next year. And then eventually, as we get into like 2025 and 2026, we will see, North Node, Neptune conjunctions. And we're going to realize, I think in 2 years, that's like nobody's steering the ship. Like there's nobody who's like really guiding people. There's nobody who's really looking out for everybody. Like it really is up to us on an individual level to start taking responsibility for ourselves, our actions, our behavior, our health, and being more assertive out in the world. And being natural leaders, because I think that's a huge theme here as well. So much about Aries is about really moving into embracing leadership qualities and recognizing that a lot of us actually have the capabilities, I think, of being able to organize the life that we want, be more self-directed, be more independent, but we're having to learn how to do that out of healing crisis. We're definitely going to be learning a lot also about impulsivity and patience. I think just being a natal Aries moon, not my best quality for sure. But I feel like because Aries are really impulsive and quick to act, this Chiron transit is going to be, showing us like wounds relating to impulsive decision making and lack of patience. The healing process involves learning and balance, and with thoughtful consideration and cultivating patience, and just allowing things to happen on their own time. I've been reflecting a lot on like how busy, at least maybe just being an American, like our lifestyles are. It's just like go, go, go. It's like nonstop working, grinding, like not always prioritizing self-care, not always slowing down. And I look at other at least like, other cultures, and where they really prioritize, art and relationships, and like, cultivation of culture, and making sure that, there is a healthy balance when it comes to like lifestyle. And I've been kind of asking myself, like, how have we gotten into this situation where it's just go, 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 and in this constant state of like depleting our own personal vitality. And really the conclusion that I've come to is that, number one, I think the system is kind of set up that way. So you're constantly spending and overstimulated and feeling super focused on needing to achieve a goal, that you're constantly striving for something that may not ultimately bring fulfillment. But two, I think it's also to get us out of our bodies, right? Constantly being concerned, worried, shocked, not knowing what's going on in the world, and then impulsively focusing on trying to create security. And so I think for many of us, this is going to be lessons in like learning to slow down, to really listen to our bodies, to figure out what's best for us. And what's best for us on a personal level may not always correlate with what's best for a partner, right? South Node in Libra may not always correlate with, the work schedule that we have signed up for or subscribed to. And so for a lot of us, I think this process over the next 6 to 12 months is going to be about really getting in touch with our body and asking our body what we need and where we need to be patient with the process and progress, right? Because we're not going to see these changes overnight. For many of us, a lot of these lifestyles, these habits, these patterns have been ingrained in us for so long that we don't really even know who we are. Like a lot of us might have a difficult time figuring out who we are on a core level outside of our career, our roles as parents or partners. And so it's going to really encourage us to take time to step back and really kind of check in with ourselves more and cultivate patience for healing. And then that leads more to self-discovery and self-expression. So, with Chiron and Aries, there's going to be an opportunity to explore and express our true selves and be more authentic. Obviously, wounds could emerge from experiences where we were discouraged from expressing ourselves openly and there was fear of rejection. And so now the healing journey involves embracing our true nature and finding creative ways to be able to express that, which I, for one, am pretty excited about, because I feel like people are going to feel more comfortable, more confident, kind of just being who they are. And that could, that could manifest in a million different ways, whether that's being more comfortable in the skin that you're in, or, feeling more comfortable and confident in just being more natural, and also being more comfortable, like being in your body and like getting active. Certainly the North Node in Aries is going to be bringing up themes revolving around, the physical state of the body and, how active you are, and if you're working out or if you're going to the gym. But I also think on the other side of this, we're going to see that healing is, number one, it's not linear. Okay, we're going to see that it's not going to be something that's going to happen directly, even if we want it to. But two, it's going to be about mind, body, spirit. And the importance of having the balance of all of those things, because if we're out of balance in one area, the other one is going to kind of be, suffering. And I'm hoping that it's going to allow a lot of us to get more so in touch with our self-identity, to learn how to be more independent, to be okay being assertive and drawing lines in the sand when it comes to our own personal health. Now, I want to take you guys through some of these transits and show you what this looks like in the skies. So obviously you guys are watching on August 3rd, but this is a video you can come back to. Like, this is going to be panning out between now and really like the spring of 2024. But in particular, in regards to this particular transit, this is going to be, actually, let me start with right now. This is really going to be felt throughout the Venus retrograde, because as Venus is retrograde in the sign of Leo, it's trining the North Node. Actually, when it started its retrograde not too long ago, it was trining at 28 degrees, which basically means we're already kind of getting in touch with what the heart wants, what the heart needs, our inner child, our inner creative. There's a lot of healing from childhood wounds and learning to recognize where maybe we're not kind of showing enough main character energy. I really feel like that's what it's about. And as Venus goes retrograde, she is then going to start coming into a trine with Chiron. So she's actually going to pick up a trine, and this is going to be right around August 14th. But the reason why I gave you guys that window of, where is it? Here we go. August 12th through the 16th is because this is right when the sun in Leo starts coming into a trine with Chiron. So the actions that we're taking in finding more opportunity for creativity, self-expression, developing our hobbies, learning to have fun, is helping us get into alignment with healing ourselves. And obviously Chiron is retrograde, so we're reflecting on what we need to work on, what we need to heal. It's more internal. It may not be physical. But we know that with retrogrades, if we're working with the retrograde, when it goes direct, we're going to have the opportunity to kind of really see the effects of that healing come through, right? And we're going to continue to see the North Node inch closer and closer to Chiron pretty much between now and the new year. So I, for one, am using this as an opportunity since the solar eclipse in Aries to be more focused on Aries-related things. I'm going to share with you guys some of the stuff that I've been doing and what I've been kind of learning about. But it's definitely been more revolving around health, fitness, holding myself accountable. Accountability, I think, is a really big thing. And recognizing like what's my stuff and like what's not my stuff, and not, trying to learn not to take things so personally. If somebody else is going through something, or if they're having issues with the wound that they're needing to heal, like learning to just drop it and not absorb that. So that way I can be better with my own like healing process. Libra rising problems, obviously. So, this 12th through the 16th, we're going to see the sun come into a trine with Chiron. We're going to see the conjunction between Venus and the sun. So the new star point is being, created with Venus and the sun, which will be within a degree of a trine to Chiron. And that tells me that there's something that's going to be happening on a personal level that is encouraging us to reflect, revise, rework something, to figure out what we love that can help us with the process, right, of healing some of these wounds. It's quite literally needing to love yourself and love yourself a little bit more, right? Being in really good relationship with yourself. I think that the North Node in Aries teaches us that when we're doing our work, it's only then we can show up better for other people. But I'm sure many of you guys are noticing throughout this retrograde that, you know, as you're doing the self-work, you're realizing, oh my God, I'm outgrowing this relationship. I'm outgrowing this job. I'm outgrowing this house, you know? There are things where you're kind of getting reacclimated or, you know, connected to yourself. Or maybe you're not quite who you used to be. So you don't really recognize that version of yourself and you're still kind of in your cocoon phase and you're not quite sure what you're going to emerge as, but you just know that you're kind of in limbo right now. So that could be happening throughout the Venus retrograde as well, where there's just a lot of like, I don't know what I need, I just need to be happy. So expressions with Sun and Venus in Leo, creativity, hobbies, dance, romance, you know, going out, doing something that's fun, is really important right now. Like it's so important to be doing these things because it's going to help us, number one, get active. That's what the fire trines are about. And number two, it's going to help us kind of realize like, wow, I used to love doing this. I don't know why I stopped doing this thing. And like, I feel like myself again. If you're having these experiences throughout the next 2 weeks, I really want you to take note of it because it can be showing you where actually getting reconnected to this can be a big process and a big part of the healing journey. And it's messy, you guys. Everybody knows, anybody who's like really gone through some significant Chiron transits, it is super messy. It's not linear. It's not all of these things that you see on Instagram. That's like the Reiki healing and the crystals and aligning your chakras and like going to Bali. Like it's a lot of ugly crying in your car and like having to get real with yourself and hold yourself accountable. And, you know, oftentimes it's a lot of, you know, falling back into old patterns and picking yourself back up and like the willingness to keep going. So I do feel like the positive of this is that we have a lot of support right now while we have placements in Leo to find creative ways to heal ourselves. You guys are going to see some of this come through as well when planets go through Sagittarius later in the year. And I do feel like you guys are going to see some really interesting stuff during Libra season as Mars and Mercury and the Sun and Venus go through this sign and they conjunct the South Node, where maybe we're realizing in the fall, after a bit of like a ping pong all summer with like being back and forth with someone or something, we recognize, that's got to go. And I can't bring that with me. And it can be really challenging because some of us are going to be moving away from relationships, from alliances, from collaborations, from business partnerships. We're unfortunately having to really turn that inward on ourselves, focusing more on ourselves. And what's unfortunate is that not everybody is going to do this in a smooth way. Kind of like the best time to be doing this actually is like the next 2 months, because once we get to roundabout, you know, early October when Saturn and Venus oppose, there is going to be this ultimate like, oh, I can't fix this thing, I have to move on. And so people have asked me in the comments, they've said things like, well, what if I don't do something within this time window? And like, what if I don't have it all figured out? Like, my answer is the universe will always reroute you. Astrology is here to give you that cosmic like thumbs up. That's like, yes, what you're feeling makes sense. And this is what potentially will be happening. And if it is happening, then at least you know that this is an alignment and like you can move with the flow. I do feel like the cutting things off, making the changes is going to be much more challenging when planets are in Libra, because we're going to see Mars, which is going to be in a sign that it doesn't perform well in. The Sun is going to be in a sign it doesn't perform well in. The only thing we're really going to have working for us is when Venus gets into Libra. But all of these planets will have to come into conjunction with the South Node and square Pluto, which is essentially trying to clear everything out so that way we can get back to business and kind of, you know, make the bigger changes that we need to make. And for a lot of people, it's been where certain relationships are actually getting in the way of status changes, career changes, you know, taking more authority in their own lives. And we've started to see where that has affected us on a personal level. So you'll see this round of transits taking place again, actually, and it'll be when planets come into conjunction with Pluto. All right, so let me go back to my notes here. So we're going to be looking at a couple more trines. So Venus will actually come back into a trine with Chiron, and that's going to be closer to 18 degrees and that looks like that's going to be around September 22nd. And then Venus will trine the North Node, and that's going to be at 24 degrees, and that's going to be October 2nd. But in my mind, right, when this is happening, the trines are great, but look at what's going on in Libra. We're going to be coming into a solar eclipse in Libra. We're going to have the Sun and Mars conjunct the South Node. And we have Venus, even in spite of her trine to the North Node, which is really positive, it's squaring Uranus for the 3rd time. So yeah, the inevitable kind of breakdown of things is actually going to, I think, really be happening in October. There's no real easy way around it. Yes, you'll get the benefit from Venus being direct. Yes, you know, the trine to the North Node is wonderful, but it is at a 24, so it is going to represent something that needs to be dissolved, right? Okay, so let's get on with it. Let's go and see the conjunction of the North Node and Chiron. So like I said, I personally work with about a 2-degree orb. So some astrologers will say, hey, you feel stuff within 10 degrees, hence why I'm putting this video out this week. But I feel like we're going to really start seeing this in February. Now, February 19th, 2024 is when we're going to see the conjunction taking place at 16 degrees of Chiron. And at the time, you know, Mars is the dispositor, right, of Chiron and also the North Node. We will have seen some pretty intense energies collectively going on. You know, the first part of February, we're going to see Venus and Mars come into conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto will have returned back to Aquarius, radically changing and transforming the collective. We have definitely seen that. There's definitely been some intense energies these last few months as we saw that transition, and then finally the retrograde back into Capricorn. Pluto moving into this sign and being at 0 degrees, obviously we know is very potent, and it's about change and transformation of the masses. Could it be a mass awakening? I hope so. But it's also about the darker side of you know, our masses, our groups. It's about some of these shadowy panels of people who are making big decisions about the rest of our lives and our health and our freedom. It can be also talking about collective power and control, especially when it comes to digital related things, technology. So I really look at what's taking place with the Venus and Mars conjunction, especially since these two planets rule the North and the South Node. So it's looking like Mars and Pluto is aligning closer to February 14th, and that's a really strong energy. Pluto is about death and regeneration and power and transformation. You guys recognize that 0 degree point. That was the grand conjunction we had in 2020 when Saturn and Jupiter conjuncted in this degree. Here it is again at 0 degrees. And I do feel like this is going to be where we are all learning on an individual level, Mars ruled by Aries, that society is about to radically change and transform. I think you're going to see a lot of people that are going to be angry, that are going to be pushing back and fighting back. And with the Mars-Pluto conjunction, it can also be violent. It can be something that can be quite dangerous and kind of like an eruption. And then a few days later, we see Venus come into the conjunction with Pluto at 0 degrees. So you're going to have all of them within about 2 or 3 degrees of a conjunction. And that's all reverberating from that Mars and from that North Node Chiron conjunction. So at least you're going to have, you know, the South Node ruler and the North Node ruler in conjunction with Pluto, which is basically saying like, where we've been, we cannot go back there. You know, we cannot continue to make these same decisions, or we cannot continue some of these alliances. And a lot of it is going to be about politics, unfortunately, Aquarius. But I also feel like a lot of this is going to be about some people standing up and being like, we are so much more powerful together than we are, you know, on our own. And having to put some of our bullshit aside from the last couple of years of our conflicts over politics and what's gone on with the economy and like what's gone on with like mandates, and realize that there will not be discrimination in the future. There is going to be almost like, I think, a mass potential financial or technological takeover. And it doesn't matter who you are, how much money you make, what your ethnicity is, what your background, your gender, your identity is. It's not going to matter. And I think this is going to be the turning point where humanity is going to have to wake up and go, if we continue to keep doing this, we are all going to be alienated, and it's going to continue to keep negatively impacting our health. And I have hopes that this is when the tide actually starts to turn. I think back to like 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021, where we had a stellium of planets in Aquarius very similar to this. And I remember it was all happening on my North Node. I was like super frustrated with just like the state of the world and, you know, what had been going on in 2020 and how divided people were and how angry people were. And I was just kind of like, we need to do something that's going to like unite people. And that ultimately was kind of like the birth of me collaborating with a friend of mine and starting the Midheaven podcast and doing that for a while. And really trying to show where you can come from two completely different backgrounds, two different genders, ethnicities, philosophies, belief systems, but be able to sit down and like talk about what's going on in the world, even if we don't have the same beliefs. And so I think that I'm hoping there is something else that's going to emerge with this. That's going to be people kind of being like, it doesn't matter. Like we all have to, we have to work together if we want to get out of this potentially precarious, you know, situation. Okay, so then we're going to see that actual conjunction take place on the 19th. And like I said, that's going to be at 16 degrees of Aries. So you might want to check your chart. You have any planets 14 to 18 degrees? That's going to be lit up like a Christmas tree. If you are a cardinal rising sign, 14 to 18 degrees, I would watch this as well. And if you have any nodes, or if your Chiron happens to be in the cardinal signs around these degrees, so Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel the pinch of the square. And you're going to notice that whatever the North Node and Chiron conjunction is, it's being brought on by some of the action and the things that are actually going on within the Aquarius area of your chart. Now, something else that comes to mind for me is that we're going to also be seeing the sun coming into conjunction with Saturn. So where all of this kind of like rebellious, freedom-loving, you know, potentially protesting type of energy is coming from all those planets in Aquarius, then the sun is coming into conjunction with Saturn, which can represent like limitation, things that are being withheld. It can represent boundaries and borders and things revolving around limits. And on the 27th of February, we're going to see a triple conjunction of Mercury, which is business, the mind, communication, and documents, the sun, which is going to represent action, and then Saturn, which is limitation. I saw some people comment on one of my earlier videos where I talked about how we were going to see with like Mercury opposed Saturn change to documents, and we were going to see limitations with that. And then we hear that, you know, now you need like visas to go and visit, I guess, Europe. And so that might be normal for some people who visit, you know, the States or other countries. As Americans, that's not really been something that we're as familiar with. I wonder if there's another layer that's coming, because this particular conjunction here, while the North Node and Chiron are conjunct, remember, it's about isolation, it's about limitation, and it's going to be about control of the masses, Mars, Pluto, Venus, and Aquarius. But this triple conjunction, I've had my eye on, and like, I know guys, I'm super early, right? But that being all at 9 degrees is going to be about international travel. It's going to be about documents. It's going to be about borders, boundaries, and it's also going to be things revolving around health and viruses and pandemics. And I'm wondering if this is going to be what's potentially going to be the next scare tactic into scaring people into trying to willingly enter into, like new digital IDs, new information and scanning and biometrics in regards to be able to travel. And they're saying potentially that this is as a result of either something that's going on in the world or the fact that it's needed for health reasons. Now, you guys have heard me, you know, kind of speculate about how as we get closer to 2025 and 2026, as Saturn and Neptune come into conjunction in the sign of Pisces and Aries, you're going to see those conjunctions. that there is something else coming in 2025. Okay, like I'm gonna keep putting this out there, and I have other astrologer friends. We talk about it. We're well aware. We have discussed the fact that, you know, first of all, we create our own reality, so we're not trying to hold space for that. We're just aware that it is a potential, but also trying to kind of get the word out that's like, hey, this potentially could happen again. You know, if we allow this to happen, if we allow there to be climate lockdowns, or if we allow them to encourage us to give up our freedoms or our rights, and have some kind of dictation or control over whether or not things are open. And it's up to you guys whether or not you want to comply. I'll just leave it at that. But this is possibly where something is going to start, is what I'm getting at. Whatever is going on in February of 2024. The conspiracy theorist in me also says, oh, of course this is going to happen before there's, you know, elections in May in Europe, before there's elections in the fall in the United States. And if there is some kind of crisis that's brewing, it could potentially affect some of these things. But best believe, with Saturn, Mercury, and the Sun coming into conjunction, that there will be something where we're going to be finding out there is going to be some prominent limitation. And most likely we're going to be told, well, it's for safety, it's for security, right? And we all know how that goes. If we are willing to give way to things that are going to keep us safe, or if we're willing to give up our freedom for convenience, we may never get it back. That's the truth of the matter, guys, is that we may never get it back. Now, we're going to see on April 8th, there will be an eclipse. And this will be a solar eclipse in Aries. Has anybody looked at this yet? Let me know if you have. P.S. Shameless plug. I'm setting everything up to be able to do the eclipse webinar. So I'm going to be doing an eclipse webinar probably in, I don't know, September, for the eclipses in the fall. I might touch on the spring, we'll see. But this one I've been looking at. What really catches my eye is that the eclipse is the same degree where first of all, we have Chiron right now, right? So it's retrograde at 19 degrees. So we're healing wounds revolving around relationship with ourselves. And we know that eclipses get reactivated, whether a planet crosses that degree, or we see a square, or there's a retrograde over that degree. So this will be the second solar eclipse in Aries. The first one was in spring of 2023, just in April. And this is going to be the second one, and it's at 19 degrees and 24 minutes. Do you see what else is at 19 degrees and 24 minutes? Chiron. So the conjunction's at 16. The eclipse is at 19. That's 3 degrees. And this is Sun, Moon, Chiron, 19 and 23, 19 and 24, 24. So actually, it's like almost exactly on top of Chiron. Exalted Sun in Aries, which means it's going to be very action-packed. We're going to have a moon there, which is going to be collectively, everybody is getting upset, angry, reacting, acting out. And this is going to be at a degree which represents balance, relationships, fairness, things in regards to, partnership, relationships to ourselves. Now, Chiron can bring healing crisis. Chiron is direct at this moment. And Mars is the ruler. And what do we have here? Mars in Pisces, right? It doesn't know where it's going. It's more sensitive and empathic and emotional. And Mars is conjunct Saturn. So this is where limitation is taking place. There is some limit of our direction, our ability to have freedoms. It might be behind the scenes. It might be hidden. It might be because of viruses. It might be because of environmental things. And we're going to watch Mars inch its way into conjunction then with Neptune. So whatever was brewing in February, we may not actually really know until closer to April. It is possible that it could take this long. But then we have this solar eclipse with Mars that's conjunct Saturn. Not a great aspect. Now, something else that we're also going to be seeing is that there is going to be a Mercury retrograde that's taking place. See this Mercury retrograde? So we're already reevaluating what's going on with me. What do I need? What's going on with my health, my body? It's in a sign that deals with these themes. And Saturn and Mars in this sign can be about collective limitation. It could be about hospitals. It could be about mental health. It could be about treatment centers. And Mercury will reactivate this eclipse because it will retrograde back on April 15th to 19 degrees of Aries, which means information is still coming in, revolving around these health-related themes or this health crisis or something that we're working through healing on a personal level. Okay, so that's going to be, oops, on the 15th. There you go. So 19 degrees. And then again, it'll hit it on May the 4th because then the retrograde will end. Mercury is going to come into connection with this degree. And that'll be on May the 4th. So April 15th, May 4th, really important dates because there's more information relating to this. And what is Mercury? Data, information, communication, people speaking out, talking about things, sharing things, exchanging information. And then finally, Mars is going to activate this eclipse, and that's going to be in May. So May 21st through the 26th. Oops, there you go. So May 21st, Mars moves into Aries. It will have been conjunct the North Node. So this is May 19th-ish. And then it's going to hit 19 degrees on the 25th of May. Looks like maybe the 24th. And so it's reactivating that eclipse point. Now, Mars is pretty active in Aries. It performs well. It's going to be conjunct the North Node, so it means that it's like, you know, taking some kind of powerful action, powerful direction. And we're going to see a whole slew of planets coming into Gemini, which is about sharing of information, traveling, learning, social media. And Jupiter is going to move into Gemini, so people are going to want to be learning more, reading more, listening more. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be sharing their opinions, a lot of people that are going to be sharing their information, their remedies, all of that stuff. And I, you know, it's like, I kind of go both ways. I, on a personal level, feel like, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, these conjunctions happen and it brings things up that we just have to heal. And it may not be a physical ailment, but it can be an emotional one that leads to physical issues. It can be issues where we're finally needing to come to terms with things that we have been avoiding and not wanting to do. But it can also be empowering, right? You know, Chiron transits for me, you know, especially the last like 2 years, I've had Chiron that's been in a pretty tight T-square with my natal Chiron and with my personal planets like Saturn and Neptune in my 4th house. And it's been pretty challenging, to be honest with you. I did not really recognize exactly how challenging it would be, which really prompted me to go, okay, I need to get the show on the road with the North Node and Aries things and start doing this stuff so that way I can kind of move through this a little bit more smoothly. So trying to lead by Chiron's example. Now, Aries in general, you know, Aries rules in astrology the head, so the head and the face. So I think that it is possible that we may see quite literal manifestations of some of these themes revolving this. Let me bring this back here for you guys so you can see it. I like to look at the transit when I talk to you guys about it. Okay. So it may manifest as something literally. So because Aries has associations with the head and the face, we may see more health issues relating to these things. It also has connections to the skull, the brain, eyes, ears, and other facial features. Additionally, Aries is also associated with a sense of self and personal identity, which can be connected to the head as it houses the brain and also seen as the center of our consciousness and individuality. So it has connections to, you know, the brain and the distribution of mental and physical energy. So obviously I'm going to be watching, kind of going like, well, what's going on with, you know, issues with people? You know, are they having issues revolving around fogginess? Are they feeling lower energy levels? Are they feeling clouded? Is there issues with being able to, you know, be assertive? Are people feeling a little depressed and down on themselves? Saturn and Neptune are going to be in Pisces, so that's out there collectively. But themes that can come with Aries placements can be headaches, fevers, eye troubles, eruptions, inflammation, wounds, burns, and accidents. Being an Aries moon native myself, I've had so many issues with migraines off and on my entire life. I finally realized that there's a definite connection to emotions, to food, to inflammation. So these have been the areas that I've been really kind of pinpointing and trying to kind of learn more about to be able to better curb it and honestly get off of like migraine medication and not want to take, you know, aspirin or Tylenol every time I have a migraine. So these things can come up for some people, especially maybe if you have a natal Aries sun, moon, or rising, or if you are an Aries rising, or maybe if you have Aries in the 6th house, you know, that's possible as well. So that would be for Scorpio. But Aries energy also is connected to an excess of nervous or mental imbalances. And most ill health has its origins in things in regards to violent exertion and outbursts of anger. So I think for a lot of us, it's going to be about managing anger and how anger and frustration needs an outlet, and whether that's, you know, Mars energy, physical outlet, if it's, you know, going and working out and burning off some steam, if it's doing some hot yoga, if it's also relating to sex. I definitely think that we're going to learn more about that. You guys are going to hear naturally with the North Node in Aries a lot more revolving around male reproductive health. You're going to hear a lot about testosterone. We're going to hear also a lot more about issues revolving around you know, reproductive health and like lower sperm counts and fertility rates. And I do think that it's going to materialize actually as some pretty jaw-dropping information that's going to be coming out revolving around the state of our military and head problems, from concussions, from injuries to mental health related issues with veterans. But also I do believe it's going to be about blood related issues and our military and whether or not they have endured health issues as a result of mandates. Now, 15 to 16 degrees of Aries in particular, okay, according to medical astrology, has a direct correlation to strokes. That's what it is. That is not me saying, okay, because I'm not a doctor, all right? But this is not me saying that everybody's going to have a stroke, so please don't freak out on me. It's me saying that collectively, North Node, right, conjunct Chiron, we're seeing more strokes out there in the world. And when this conjunction happens, you have Mars that is in Aquarius, which is going to be literally about the nervous system and things in regards to getting kind of, psyched out, tense, right? We're still seeing these planets come into a square with Jupiter and Uranus. So people's tension because of what they're eating, people's tension because of the state of the world, you know, too much Wi-Fi, being around all these things that are plugged in, how the electromagnetic effects that it's having on our bodies collectively. But you're going to hear about it with Mars and Venus in conjunction to Pluto. You're going to probably have some people that are going to be sitting on panels talking about this. You're going to be hearing about how it's not only affecting our military, but younger individuals, younger men, Aries. And Venus is there too. So I definitely think that it can be some disclosure revolving around awareness, revolving around some of these connections and recent directions. Unfortunately, that we have all gone collectively with some of the more recent developments in healthcare. My recommendation, just with some stuff that I've been kind of learning more about, I'm going to give you guys a lot of stuff right now. Get on some B vitamins, okay? Obviously, before you take anything, please consult with your doctor. Make sure that it's something that you can take. But a good complex B vitamin that's got vitamin B, vitamin B9, B12, and B6. In particular, B9 with folic acid can be really helpful in preventing any issues that may potentially lead to a stroke, right? I think we can all take more B vitamins, but a complex B is great. Guardian herbs, if you're somebody who likes to work with herbs, obviously make sure that this is something that you can ingest, okay? But you can ingest ginger, nettles. I like nettles tea. That's something that I have gotten into. Vitex also, and wormwood, although I'm not sure how you can take wormwood. You're gonna have to look into that one. And then also herbs that you can work with in terms of intention setting for magical purposes. Yarrow, vervain, eucalyptus, hawthorn, and hops. Eucalyptus is great. Anybody who's ever had like congestion issues or sinus issues, like fresh eucalyptus in the shower obviously is wonderful, or using that in a diffuser can help open everything up. But when I think of Aries, I think of spice. I think of hot things. And being someone who's had a lot of issues with sinus infections, I've learned very quickly I cannot rely on antibiotics. It's just going to ruin my gut. So I've turned to garlic and chili paste and hot peppers, turmeric, ginger, black pepper, rosemary. These are all things that I cook with, or things that I use or I steep if I am starting to feel that I'm kind of getting sick or under the weather. Aries also has correlations with iron, so I do think we're going to learn a lot more about iron deficiencies. And in particular, I noticed these are foods that I intuitively have been more geared towards, but the more that I learned about the connections with the sign, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. But iron heavy foods can be obviously meat, liver, chicken eggs, white fish, rye bread, carrots, beets, cabbage, and garlic. A lot of the things that I like to eat, but I have a pretty heavy Mars signature in my chart. And obviously everybody's got their own preference. I know not everybody eats meat, but you can integrate that. And for those of you guys who are looking for meat-free options, parsley, dried fruit, rose hips, apples, watermelon, dark honey, beets, cabbage, garlic. Recently I started fermenting my own garlic, putting raw garlic into honey. Made the mistake of probably going in there eating it a little too soon. I feel like I had dragon's breath for 3 days. But just recently, now that it's hit about 3 weeks, I finally started peeking back into the jar and it's ready. And I started eating the fermented garlic. And I definitely have noticed that it's really started kind of clearing up inflammation for me. I can feel it in my joints when I'm working out and stuff. It's making a difference. I'm also doing it because Saturn's in Pisces, and that's about issues with the immune system. So I'm trying to kind of build my immune system up. For anti-inflammatory, obviously turmeric is great. I've always taken turmeric with black pepper because it's better for absorption, but I've also started taking liposomal turmeric. And you can get it in a squeeze bottle, and you can put it in shakes, or if you juice, you can take that. For headaches, something that I have been learning about also, instead of taking Advil or aspirin or Tylenol, willow bark extract can be really great for strains, pains, aches, but also the occasional headache. And it might be something that you would want to add to your medical arsenal. Now for burns, cuts, and scrapes, which is inevitable, we do see this with Aries-related transits, I would recommend calendula self. It can be really helpful, all of just the natural herbs for burns or cuts or any open sores. And for those of you guys who are struggling with issues in regards to your allergies, obviously local honey or bee pollen can be helpful. Cutting back on dairy and sinus sprays with colloidal silver is something that I would also recommend if you're having inflammation. And if you want to work with stones or crystals, I would look into bloodstone, jasper, carnelian, or citrine. These can all be really helpful. Some other things that I've been working with has also been head massages, using castor oil on my scalp, and red light therapy also is something I'm a big fan of. I've been using it on my face for inflammation, anti-aging. I've been using it on my dog because I have a naughty little French bulldog that's always pulling something, and so I always tell him he's going to get baked. If he pulls something or if he's limping, he basically gets time in his crate, and we cook him with the red light for a little bit, and it's amazing. It's he would have a limp for a couple days. He's in there resting and he's using the red light, and he's usually back within a day. So it's great for healing, especially if you have aches and pains or post working out. It can be great. It's great also for depression as well. If you're somebody who suffers with seasonal issues, you can pick up a red light therapy panel. It's really similar to what they use in the red light saunas. And for all of you guys, and I'm going to find a way to put this somewhere in the description maybe, or I'll attach it in some way. I don't know, because I'm not going to read them all out to you. But probably one of the best things I can recommend that is free, super easy, you can do it every single day as you're working with some of these transits, is affirmations. So affirmations are powerful tools for promoting self-healing and fostering positive change in your life. Basically, they work by shifting your thoughts, your beliefs, and your energy towards a more constructive, healing mindset. And I will include a whole list of these affirmations probably in the description. I have a bunch of them. Stand in front of the mirror and do this every day. Pick something that you align with, right? I have so many amazing clients who are always telling me their affirmations and telling me what they're working with and what they're doing. I have my own personal that I've been doing for a very long time that actually was given to me by one of my OG astrology teachers who's like amazing. And I had a bunch of sheets of paper with it on it, and somewhere in the move I lost them, but thankfully I remembered it. But I make a point of doing it every day, whether it's like getting out of the shower, or if you get up in the morning and you're stretching, you come back from the gym, even if you're, taking a break, make time to sit and meditate on your personal affirmations or do it in front of a mirror is really helpful with Aries because it's about self-accountability, okay? You guys can come back to this video. You can watch this. You can take more information from it. I do want to let you know where these particular, transits are going to be taking place for you. As always, I'm a Western astrologer. I practice Western astrology, so this is going to be for the rising signs, the whole sign prediction for the transit of the North Node and Aries. So as we spoke, we're going to see this conjunction that's going to be getting closer and closer, ultimately until February of 2024. But it pays to be prepared. You guys, you have an opportunity for healing here, the 12th through the 16th. I hope you guys take that opportunity to start doing that work now. I encourage you guys to show up and do this, even though healing is a lot of work, right? It takes courage, but we all have a little bit of courage in there. If you're a Placidus user, you want to be looking for 16 degrees of Aries. But yeah, look for 16 degrees. That'll give you the exact house. I've seen a couple people in the comments ask me, what's the difference between the sun and the rising sign? Honestly, the rising sign is going to tell you where this is going to take place, right? The sun sign is going to kind of tell you what you want to hear. It might also tell you things that relate to you personally or your career. So there's some truth to it, but I like working with the rising sign. I like to use the zodiacal order because I feel like it's the most accurate for my work. Okay, so we're talking about this North Node Chiron conjunction. We're going to start with Aries. Aries, in many ways, you guys have really been kind of already dealing with a lot of this for some time, right? So you've had Chiron in your first house recently. We had an eclipse there, so you're feeling the effects of the eclipses in your first house. So it's affecting yourself, it's affecting your body. This ultimate North Node Chiron conjunction, I think, is bringing about themes revolving around healing wounds to self-identity, your appearance, how you present yourself to the world, okay? The healing journey involves accepting your uniqueness and learning to love and assert yourself better. Now, at the time of this conjunction, you're going to have Mars. That's going to be in your 11th house. So I do feel like it's going to be about embracing your goals, working with a team of people, collaborating with like minds so you don't feel like an outsider, okay? All right, so let's go to Taurus, Taurus rising. Taurus, you are going to be having the North Node Chiron conjunction taking place in your natal 12th house. Well, this is all about wounds relating to spirituality, the subconscious, hidden aspects of life might kind of come up for you now. Healing for you involves delving into your inner world, releasing past traumas, and embracing a spiritual connection. Now, for some of you guys, it might be about you doing that in private. You might be going to a healing studio, a yoga studio. Maybe you're working on your spirituality, your faith, your religion, because that could be the 12th house. And at the time of the conjunction, you have Mars at the top part of your chart in conjunction with Venus and Pluto. So something about your personal identity and your image is changing. Maybe you're moving more into a phase of wanting to heal and work behind the scenes. Maybe you're bringing that out in the world. Maybe you're doing that professionally. Maybe because you're going through a significant shift in regards to your career, that you're doing more healing kind of in the background. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. You are going to be experiencing the North Node Chiron conjunction in Aries in your natal 11th house. This is going to bring about healing and challenges revolving around friendships, social groups, aspirations might arise. And healing comes through the forming authentic connections, contributing positively to your community, and pursuing your dreams. Now, at the time of this conjunction, Mars is going to be in the 9th house. So I do feel like this might be about you taking courses and classes with other people, learning about healing, maybe traveling, going to a retreat. Maybe you're healing something about your philosophy and reconnecting with like-minded people. It does help that you're going to have Mars in a sign that is friendly with your ascendant, so you'll be experiencing trines. So I think for many of you guys, it's going to be about this new change in philosophy and then this new group of people that you're going to be connecting with. And if you can't find a group, you're going to start one. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. What's going on, guys? We're taking a look at this North Node Chiron conjunction in your natal 10th house. Oof. So the healing is going to be on full display. Okay, that's from a natal Chiron in the 10th house to you. This placement can bring wounds linked to your career, reputation, and authority, and you're going to realize that healing involves aligning your ambitions with your true self, overcoming self-doubt, and finding your unique path to success. Now, obviously, if you have any Cancer rising degrees around, let's say 14 to 18, this can be a little bit more challenging because you will experience a square. But at the time of this particular North Node conjunction, Mars is in the 8th house, and you are going to have, Mars is the ruler of the 10th house, and it does very well in the 8th. So it does make me feel like the change and the transformation that's coming is of your career, is of how you make money. It is about your resources, and it is embracing, I think, more authority when it comes to who you are out in the world. And I do think you're going to see that kind of play out for a little bit. It might be like some of you guys might quit a job. Some of you guys might decide that you're not getting along with your boss, or that you want to, you know, move into a healing profession. That could be happening as well. But it may come at the cost of making a cut or making a change. Good luck. We've got Leo and Leo rising. You're going to be experiencing the North Node Chiron conjunction in Aries in your natal 9th house. And it is in a sister sign. So if you're a Leo, sun, moon, or rising, 14 to 18 degrees, you'll be experiencing trines, which is a little bit easier for you, to be honest. But the 9th house has connections to wounds revolving around your beliefs, higher education, and travel. Healing comes through expanding your perspective, seeking wisdom, and exploring your spiritual path. So for some of you guys, it might be meeting a new teacher, a mentor, a guru. It might be a healing ceremony of sorts. And it's interesting that Mars is the ruler, and you're going to have Mars in the 7th house in conjunction to Venus as well as Pluto. So it might mean that you're healing your relationships. It might mean that there is a significant change going on in a relationship, which changes your belief or your philosophy. You want to be mindful that there can be challenges that you can have in relationships, but they can be overcome through a change in your viewpoint, or maybe a connection that you have with a mentor or a teacher. A therapist can come in that can help you with this as well. But I do actually think for you, it doesn't have to be doom and gloom. You know, Mars and Pluto is about a powerful kind of upgrade in regards to your home life and your relationships with other people. And some of you guys might see that unions are actually very powerful at that time. Good luck. We got Virgo and Virgo rising. You'll be experiencing North Node conjunct Chiron in the 8th house. Challenges relating to intimacy, okay? Shared resources, transformation might emerge, the pain of releasing, letting go. Sometimes it can deal with death, sometimes it can deal with joint finances, it depends. But healing involving facing deep-seated fears, embracing vulnerability, and making some changes and transformations revolving around your emotional patterns. Now for you guys, Mars at the time is in the 6th house, which does deal with health, routine, things involving coworkers and your workspace or your habits. I do think that you're going to realize where there have been some habits that you've been relying on too much that might be like self-soothing that need to go. You may realize also that there's a time to like make a change with your daily routine. Can health-related things come up for you? They could, doesn't mean they will. But it does make me feel like it might involve detoxing, cutting, or removing something. And you might also realize that this can come from imbalances in relationships as well, because it's 12th to your 7th. And that some of these stresses within a relationship can also be causing these problems. And you might realize, well, it's easier for me to address the problem. How can I heal myself and not rely too much on the wrong support system? Good luck. For Libra and Libra rising, you'll be experiencing the Chiron North Node conjunction in your natal 7th house. Obviously, Libra, it is going to be a little bit more challenging for the cardinal signs. So if you are a Libra sun, moon, or rising revolving around 14 to 18 degrees, pay attention because this is going to be a little bit more potent for you. The conjunction in the 7th house can bring wounds concerning relationships and partnerships, especially marital relationships. Healing comes through learning to balance your needs with those of others, setting healthy boundaries with other people, and fostering meaningful connections. For some of you guys, who are in relationships, it can be a time where relationships and commitments are definitely tested. At the time of this particular conjunction, Mars is sitting in the 5th house. So it's interesting. I mean, you are going to see that Mars is very close to Venus, which is your chart ruler. So it does give you the opportunity to work together with a partner to heal some of these issues. The 5th house can be about having more playtime, having more creative time, making more of an effort when it comes to dates, passion, and romance. But also it can be about healing wounds revolving around children or childhood. Now, you could be facing childhood wounds, a partner could be dealing with childhood wounds, and you need to work through that and grow so you guys can come together more in a relationship. It can also be where children can be helping or hindering certain relationships, and there can be some themes going on where children can be a deal breaker in certain relationships. For those of you guys who are single, the North Node Chiron can be about somebody coming into your life that can help you heal. A relationship, a therapist, an astrologer, somebody that you meet that wants to help you work through your issues creatively. And it can be about finding true love, Mars and Venus in the 5th, and realizing that you've got somebody who can help you open up to relationships again. Good luck, Libra. For my Scorpios and Scorpio risings, you will be experiencing the North Node Chiron connection, and this will be in your natal 6th house. Now, this particular connection can be more in regards to dealing with health matters, so just be mindful of that. Chiron in the 6th house is wounds around health, daily routines, and work are possible. Healing involves adapting self-care practices, finding balance in your routines, and addressing any health-related issues. Now, this is interesting because this naturally in conjuncts or quincunx your sign. So if you're an Aries, if you're a Scorpio rising, I would say 14 to 18 degrees. You really want to pay attention with this particular transit because it will be kind of creating some uncomfortable angles with your ascendant, which can impact your health. We also know that you have eclipses that are happening in your 6th house, so that can impact your health, your daily routine, your habits, and the North Node is there. So you're recognizing the importance of being like, I move my body, I have a schedule, a routine, I stick to it. But also it can be, are you overworking, right? Are you stressing yourself out, trying to do too much, trying to spread yourself too thin? I'm a Scorpio sun, and I'm super aware of this. Even though I go by the ascendant astrology, I could definitely see the correlation. So even the Scorpio suns, I would say, listen to this because it's really helpful. At the time of this particular conjunction, Mars, which is also your chart ruler, Mars and Pluto, are going to be in conjunction in your 4th house. So you've got Mars and Pluto, which rules you in your 4th house of home and family, in conjunction to Venus, which means there is a huge change and transformation that's about to take place in your home life. It can be with your spouse, it can be with a relationship, it can be with a family member. It does kind of feel like death and rebirth energy where something is ending and something new is emerging. Some Scorpio risings are finding that they're kind of coming to a new point in their life where relationships are really ramping up, and perhaps there needs to be a change on the home front or emotionally for some of these things to kind of come through. And a lot of this is how do you make the time for all of these things, right? How do you balance all of these things? And a lot of this is going to be about organization and getting your ducks in a row at home when it comes to the workspace or the home space and the family, so you're not taking it all on. Right? Good luck, Scorp. All right, so we've got Sag and Sag rising. You're going to be experiencing Chiron coming into conjunction with the North Node. This will be taking place in your natal 5th house. Woof! I remember this transit. I had this transit. You know, here's the thing. It's going to trine your sign. So if you're a Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, 14 to 18 degrees, it does help you, okay? Equally, I want to remind you that you have your chart ruler that will be hanging out in the 6th house of health and wellness and daily routine and work. So as long as you're maintaining a balance, I think you will be fine. Trines help though. They help you actually physically connect to yourself. The 5th house is going to be all about, you know, connecting with, you know, challenges revolving around healing issues with self-expression, creativity, with romance. Healing comes through embracing your creative talents, pursuing joyful activities, and also forming healthy relationships. So healthy relationships to playtime, to lovers, to children, to creative self-expression. Now, can childhood issues come up? Yes. Can there be issues with your children? Yes. Can there be pregnancy challenges? Yes. But you got to look at other aspects. At the time of this conjunction, Mars is going to be in your 3rd house, where it's bringing attention to communication, travel, siblings, writing, journaling, sharing, blogging. And you're going to have Venus and Pluto there too. So I do think you're going to be adopting like a new hobby that's going to allow you to communicate and share more freely. Some of you guys are going to be really focused on using art as therapy or some kind of creative self-expression as, you know, releasing pain. But I do think a lot of it's going to be about how you're sharing some of these issues and expressing yourself differently and talking more about how you're actively playing a role in healing yourself, right? Trines to your ascendant. The one thing that I would say is that because Mars is the ruler and I'm watching Mars come into a square with Jupiter, you are more prone to getting kind of worked up and having moments where you may feel like you want to lash out and getting short or, you know, being more accident prone, squares from the 3rd to the 6th house. Take time, walk, you know, journal, do some breath work. And this can be really helpful with some of the sextiles that are starting up because you might actually find it's a great way of being able to kind of tap into creative energy to better express yourself. Good luck. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You'll be experiencing North Node Chiron conjunction in your natal 4th house of home and family. Obviously, 14 to 18 degrees Capricorn rising, sun or moon. The square is definitely, you're going to feel the pinch a little bit. So you want to be mindful that you might be feeling the effects a little bit more strongly. Obviously the 4th house, right? So a conjunction here brings wounds revolving around family dynamics, home, security. Healing entails addressing family patterns, creating a sense of emotional security, finding comfort within yourself. Maybe it's about healing issues with the mother. Maybe it's about finding a new home. And at the time of this connection, the ruler Mars is in your 2nd house. So that tells me that you're having to really do a lot of work on self-esteem, you know, building yourself up and making yourself feel secure. Maybe you're having to spend a little bit more money on, you know, cost of living or finding a place that's safer or secure. Maybe you're feeling a little displaced or there's some issues going on with like family members, and there can be issues also over money or resources or land that are coming up, making you kind of feel like, okay, who is my family? Where is my home? And really reevaluating what it means to find a home. And I think the North Node in Aries is like home is where you are. It's not necessarily a place, it's within yourself. And you're learning how to redefine that and kind of building yourself up physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, so you have the wherewithal to feel like you have a safe place that you can call your own. Good luck. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You'll be experiencing the North Node Chiron connection in your natal 3rd house. And this is going to be at 16 degrees. Now, the 3rd house is going to be bringing up wounds revolving around communication, learning, sibling relationships can also surface. Healing involves expressing yourself authentically, overcoming communication barriers, and fostering positive sibling connections. Words can be hurtful or healing, depending on how you look at it, right? And in the sign of Aries, it can be like, you hurt me, you did this, this happened, and it's about reworking that vocabulary, reworking the way that you communicate and connect and express that. Yeah, there can definitely be some issues with siblings, for sure. There can also be issues with neighbors that can come up with the third house as well. But what's interesting is that when this conjunction happens, Mars is actually in your sign. And when Mars is in the first house, it's very strong, it's very passionate, it's loud, it's driven. Pluto is there as well. So Mars and Pluto is like, enough of this, I'm done, right? And I think with Venus being there, it's like potentially giving somebody a piece of your mind. Now, in the back of my mind, I know that we're also going to see these planets coming into a square with Jupiter as well as Uranus. So you can be very passionate, very direct, very independent, very forward thinking, even detached a little bit. And there might be a sense of just telling people exactly what you think, giving them a piece of your mind, and like, you know, not holding back. It's really all about how you look at things. You know, if you decide that you want to lash out and you want to feel like a victim, or you want to get angry or upset with somebody, you can. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fix things. And I would be really mindful of how you communicate and what you have to say, what you're writing, what you're talking about, what you say on the phone to somebody, because it can create a lot of backlash with a home or family environment. So be very careful. Know that words are meant to empower, right? You want to be empowering yourself. You want to be more focused on, what can I do? What are my goals? What direction am I going in? Not getting too caught up in the drama of, oh, well, my, sister doesn't want to come along, or my mom doesn't agree, or, my partner doesn't like what I'm focusing on. Make all that attention be about what actions you're taking, and don't just talk about it, be about it. We got Pisces and Pisces rising. So you will be experiencing the North Node Chiron conjunction, and that'll be taking place in your natal second house. This is going to bring up challenges revolving around self-worth, finances, material possessions can arise. And healing comes through refining your values, building healthy self-esteem, and finding a balanced approach to money and resources. Now, what's interesting is like, yeah, can you have some financial challenges here? Yes, you can. It can, I think, be more about insecurities and, learning not to define yourself based off of what you have, but who you are. Learning to let go of concerns revolving around money and resources, and not putting too much focus on that and letting that define you. At the time of this conjunction, you're going to have Mars in your 12th house. And that tells me that there is something that might be coming to an end in regards to finances and resources. The conjunction of Venus is other people's money, and Pluto might be about actually breaking free from something. So some of you guys are finding new ways to define security financially and wealth, because you're separating from a partner or from a way that you've been making money, and now you're doing it more independently. The North Node eclipses are here, so a lot of you guys are learning how to be more so responsible and like build your own, path forward when it comes to resources. I do feel like something is ending in order to let something new in. And some of you guys also may be realizing that part of developing your financial security strategy is going to be kind of observing what's going on in the world collectively, 12th house. And you might start learning about exchanges of currency, or what's going on with like patterns, or maybe you're looking at like forms of currency that could be exchanged internationally, or you're looking at like digital currency because it's Aquarius. And having to just let go of anything that does not serve you, as crazy as it sounds. Like I said, very shortly after this particular conjunction is taking place, Sun, Saturn, and Mercury are going to conjunct, which means in your first house, you're going to go, I don't need anything. All I need is me, right? It's just me. I don't need to take anything with me. I'll let it all go. Mercury rules relationships, family. So for some of you guys, you're going to be facing a situation where you're going to go, I'm not going to have the support from a spouse, or I'm not going to live with the family, or I'm not going to be able to, continue to keep getting this support, but I don't want the strings attached. I want to do it my way. So the willingness to move forward and believe in yourself and forge, your own path forward seems to be the theme. Yeah, really, really interesting. you know, the North Node is what we want. You know, that's what we aspire to achieve. And so with the North Node in Chiron, it's I don't want to say I'm going to, you know, lose the weight. I'm going to actually do it. I don't want to say I'm going to stop being overreactive. I'm going to actually work on that core wound. So many of us want to actually heal it. We haven't known how to do it. And I'm anticipating that with this conjunction, yeah, it can throw some of us into the healing crisis spiral, sure. But it also gives some of us the opportunity, North Node, with Mars and Venus and Pluto, to connect with the right people to help us form that healing path, right? To be able to kind of get the support that we need to do it. Or some of us might step in and become the Chiron, you know, kind of mentor, teacher, training, and like guide other people. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'd love to hear your guys' hot takes on this. So feel free to like, share, comment, make sure you subscribe. You can share this with other people if you would like to as well. Also, if you're in the holistic field, if you are somebody who works with herbs or healing, or if you have other recommendations that you want to make, please leave them down below. We would love to hear from you guys as well, because I know there's so many different healing modalities out there, and so much about this is about inspiring us individuals to take charge of our own health, because that is where our wealth is, right, guys? All right, well, thank you guys for watching. I will see all of you soon. You can catch me here tomorrow. We're gonna be doing live readings. I will put the link in the community tab if you wanna join me. And yeah, if you guys like my content and you wanna see more of it, subscribe or consider heading over to my website where you can book a one-on-one reading with me. I'm booking in September and October right now, but if you know that you have a birthday coming up, or if you would just like to get some insight, you can see my schedule live and book a session with me one-on-one for a live Zoom call. Head over to beyondtheveiledtarot.com, and while you're there, check out my courses or any of my products. There's all kinds of new stuff there, and sign up for my newsletter because I am going to be putting stuff out. There's new products that I'm going to have coming out in the fall. If you guys saw the calendar that we did last year, we're going to do another one, and we have some extra goodies that are, it's still top secret, but it's coming. And we're also going to be doing a webinar that's going to be on the eclipses. I'm also been working on a webinar for this North Node Chiron conjunction, because I'd like to do like almost like a group healing workshop or something that I could do almost like in a format of a webinar to like really talk to you guys about how to work through some of this stuff and prepare. Probably later in the year, maybe in the new year, we'll see. Anyway, I'll catch you guys all soon. Enjoy the rest of your week, and thanks for watching. Take care.